Good evening and welcome to the Italian Impact Podcast. I am your co-host, Steve Stefano Mancini.
And my name is Claudio Relsano, and as always, we appreciate you all tuning in.
All right, Claudio, we're going to have another good guest. Yeah. I can tell by the conversation that started before we were recording, and a lot of good stuff coming. But before we do kind of kick off with the guest, we want to talk a couple of events that are coming up. Claudio, I know the first one's near and dear to your heart, and I've got one.
Well, both of them are.
Well,
I appreciate it.
So you're the guest of honor for the second one and kind of for the first one.
The October 11th Columbus Day Parade in Bloomfield, which is a big parade, and it's always fun. This is my third year being in a car. So it's nice to wave to everybody, and my daughter is going to take they're doing something a little bit different this year where they're having somebody have a banner. Oh. So my daughter and her boyfriend are going to be there, and I guess they announce you a little bit, something like that. But it's always nice to be a part of something like that, and I'm very honored to be asked to be a part of it.
Well, I know Ed and folks at ISDA have a big role in that, coordinating the parade. I know it's a big deal, and I think it's pretty much the only one in Pittsburgh. So, it's an opportunity for folks to go out there and celebrate. But, we'll get into this in a little bit, but it is part of that traditions. With the community. Everyone else has traditions, and for some reason we're so okay with them going away. And I never understood that. I mean, it's not about how you feel about Columbus. It's a parade at the end of the day. It's not like we've got a big Columbus float with him sailing across the sea. It's bands, it's dignitaries, it's celebrities, just coming and having a good time. So I encourage folks to come on out and enjoy the Columbus Day. I think I'm going to be in it. I'm not sure, though.
I thought you were in it for sure.
I thought I was, too, but I don't know. I got to get with Ed.
You're
I think the short answer is I'm pretty sure, but I don't know where. See, I don't know if I've made it to VIP status or I get a car. I may have to walk. I might be in it, but I might be with a broom following sweeping up on the way out. Hey, you're in the parade. But another event that's coming up as well is October 18th. So there will be a fundraiser. I know people are I think our regular listeners have got to be sick of me saying this. I am the honorary consul for the Italian government here in Pittsburgh. But is in that role, and I don't say this in a boo-hoo, I knew it going in. It's not a paid role. It's not a paid position, even though I basically do the functions of a consulate's office, whether it's visas, students that want to travel, whether it's passport renewals for Italian citizens, whether it's retirees need their pension paperwork signed, or somebody needs a procura, which is like a power of attorney in Italy. Whatever those services are, we can do them here in Pittsburgh because of my office. The challenge, though, is because I don't get money, I have to find a good location, to centralize myself, because I've got people literally coming up from Virginia that are driving up here because they can't get appointments in other places, so they come here to get their, certain things done. Coming from Erie, coming from other parts of Pennsylvania, a lot of people coming up from West Virginia, which also surprised me, the sheer volume of Italians that still live in West Virginia. So don't poo-poo the Italian community in West Virginia. It's actually pretty good, and I really enjoyed the Italian Heritage Festival they had about a month or so ago. They do an excellent job of that. So the Italian community is very strong down in West Virginia, which means you've got a lot of Italians all over the place coming now to Pittsburgh to get things done. With that being said, I rent the office out of my pocket, okay? It is what it is, and I don't mind that. But a lot of folks said, hey, why are you paying for this? And I said, well, because if I don't pay for it, it doesn't get paid for. So they said, well, let's do a fundraiser. So October 18th at the Spino Club in Morningside, just show up, 1 p.m. It's $25. It's going to include food. There's going to be celebrities there. There's going to be, of course, it's Italian, so there's going to be music and dancing. Just a lot of activity. I think it's like 1 to 7 or something. It's a long day, but it'll be a fun day. And that's kind of a clue that there's going to be a lot going on when you have a 6-hour event. So I encourage you to show up October 18th at the Spino Club in Morningside here in Pittsburgh. And I look forward to meeting you in person. And you can ask me all the questions, including, why is it taking so long to get my citizenship? And I'm going to say, I don't know. But you're welcome to ask me. I'll gladly give you an answer, even if the answer is I don't know. But anyways, in all seriousness, I do appreciate the support. I know, Claudia, you're going to be there, and I appreciate that. And Claudio says, and actually, I'm going to make this up, but Claudio says he's going to have some surprise guests for us. So now he's on the hook.
One of them is Mike Ambrescia, who is running for a political office here in Allegheny County.
Good.
Really good guy.
Good.
And we're trying to get some other people, but I know Mike will be there.
And I know the other guy we're going to talk about, I asked you about yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I won't mention his name.
Yeah, we're trying.
We're trying to get him there. But I encourage folks to show up October 18th, Spino Club in Morningside. Please, if you can make it, come on by. So again, I appreciate the support. Appreciate you being there. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you because you brought another wonderful guest. Claudio, take it away.
Well, today's guest I've known for at least 25 years, I think, right?
Yeah,
Something
close
like
to that.
Yeah. And we've done a lot of work together in baseball and softball, and now we've gotten together and we're going to work in the golfing world, which he will talk about. Good guy. You want to talk about being mic'd up. It would be great if you mic'd us up during one of our phone conversations, which we're going to touch on some of those topics here today. But again, really good guy, real good friend, Ron Vrana, of the owner of the Paramount Scouting Bureau. Ron, thank you so much for being on our show.
Enjoy being here.
All right. Ron, first, real quick, obviously the Italian Impact. Tell us a little bit about your Italian background before we go into your work.
Well, my grandfather came over first about 100 years ago down in Greene County and got a beer license. And
Did he use the Italian consulate?
Yeah.
but he made some good money and ended up being the bank for most Italians. So a lot of the Italian businesses down in Greene County actually were started as a result of him financing them. He eventually became the constable of Carmichael's,
Wow.
which I just
The
recently
Constable
found
of Carmichael?
Carmichael's.
What? I've never heard of that title.
I didn't realize it, but I guess they had a constable down there, and we found.
Oh, that was a town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Carmichael's is a town down in
Oh,
Greene County,
got it.
Pennsylvania. And, we actually found his badge recently.
Wow.
So I've been, very Italian over the years. Had a lot of friends and family in Greene County before I moved up here to Allegheny County. But always look back on my Italian heritage. Family has always been very important, as the Italians are. So I'm pretty proud of that, being a good old Italian boy.
Go. Now, tell us a little bit about how you got involved. You're very heavily involved in sports all these years, but tell us how you got interested in that business.
Well, I started at the University of Pittsburgh. I actually played a little baseball there, and got tired of playing in the rain, so I transferred down to a school in Florida called Flagler. And when I was down there, I noticed nobody went to the games. Nobody went to the basketball games. Nobody showed up for the baseball games. So I went to the AD and I said, I'll figure out a way to bring people in. So we had a 1,300-seat stadium for basketball, and we were averaging about 50 people a game. So the next year I started running a bunch of programs, promotions, and we were averaging 1,350 people a game. And so the AD said, well, maybe you'd be interested in working for the Braves. And he put me in touch with the general manager of the Richmond Braves. I ended up becoming a PR guy for them after graduation, and just went from there. My love for sports. I coached for 18 years, various sports, and then decided I originally was a school teacher, but decided to go into business for myself, and that's when I got involved with National Scouting Report, a scouting service, and then started my own service and met Claudio.
All right, so let's kind of. I want to go with that. Your father, it was your grandfather that came here, and he ends up kind of becoming a somebody, in the area. When he came over here, was he in the generation that sort of, hey, listen, I'm going to America, I'm going to be American, and I'm going to forget it, or did he pass on any of the culture or any of his, kind of, I don't want to call belief systems, because you inherently pass on who you are to your kids, and who you are is a result of how you were raised and the things that you were exposed to in those developmental years. So there's naturally things he passed on to his kids. But do you remember anything that was passed down to the family that specifically comes from, for what I'm going to term, the old country?
No, I don't, because he.
Well, thank you for coming, and it was great having you, Claudio. Get him the hell out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I remember more from my mother and from my uncles, because my grandfather died in 1953, very young. He died the day after Thanksgiving while he was hunting in West Virginia. So, and my grandmother never learned to speak English.
Oh.
So actually, my father, who was Polish, was more Italian. I mean, I thought he was Italian growing up because he could speak Italian, and we always lived the Italian traditions.
So you knew that, though, because, like, to your point, you said your mother never learned, or I'm sorry, your grandmother never learns English, passes that down to her kids. obviously, because she doesn't speak English, so she's talking to her kids in Italian. They pick it up, so whether you knew it or not, you were sort of living that life.
And then going up into the 70s, we had at least 2 Italian relatives move to Toronto every year. They settled in Toronto, so we would go up every year and meet the new relatives, the cousins, and spend time. And of course, very, very Italian traditions up there.
Funny you say that, though. There's a large Italian community in Canada, and especially in Toronto, and they do a good job of, for lack of a better term, maintaining their authenticity of being Italians. What was drawing them up there, especially coming from here and going north?
I don't know if they couldn't get into the United States at the time, but they settled in the Mississauga area, and they just stayed there. They were craftsmen. They did a lot of woodworking and actually became very successful, well known up in the Toronto area for their skills. So they just, like I said, every year 2 more relatives would come over.
I'm going to tell you guys something that you might not know when you mentioned Toronto. Bruno Sammartino, obviously the legendary Bruno Sammartino, started off in New York wrestling. Some things happened here and there. He left. It was kind of forced out. That's a story that he shares. But he went to Toronto and just blew up in Toronto. And he promoted himself, and obviously they promoted the Italian. They called him Il San Italiano, the Italian Samson, right? And they went crazy for him. He became the Canadian champion, and everywhere in Canada he was in demand. Why? Because there was such an Italian population out there. So why that's the case, I don't know. But when both of you were talking about that, that's the first thing that hit me. That there was more then probably than there are now. There's still plenty of Italians out there, but back then in the early '60s,
a lot of them are tuning into this show. I say that
right.
proud. I mean, I'm glad the folks in Canada are listening. I really appreciate that. Remember, though, sharing is caring. So please.
So, Ron, tell us a little bit about your recruiting career. You can start with NSR, but then you started Paramount, and tell us some of the sports that you deal with and what you do with these kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was looking to go out on my own in business, I hooked up with National Scouting Report. But I found the way to draw business to me. Well, first of all, National Scouting Report is I would assist students through the recruiting process. 28, 30 years I've been doing this. I've assisted over 2,600 athletes into achieving college scholarships. And I always say assist because a lot of people go out and brag, oh, I got this kid a scholarship, I got that kid a scholarship. No, the kid gets the scholarship. I simply guided them, educated them, got them into the right schools. And I was very proud of the fact that over 90%, almost 95% of the students that I worked with over the years graduated from the school where they started. Where today, probably nobody graduates from the school where they start.
Right.
But I tried to guide the students into finding the right school where that was going to be their home for the next 4 years. But I found that it was easier to draw business to me by running events and bringing the kids to me. And I happened to meet Claudio about the time I was starting that, and so we started running showcases all over the United States, even in Canada. And at times, we had as many as 400 kids in a day that we would evaluate in front of college and professional scouts. And so it was a very exciting time, particularly we always tied in with the Beast of the East tournament down in West Virginia. That was our biggest event. And it was exciting to see 50, 60 pro scouts and 50 or 60 more college coaches there evaluating talent. I know there was a time where we were getting guys signed right off the field. They'd walk off the field, and the Dodgers or somebody would hand them the paperwork, and or college would offer them a Division I scholarship right there.
And obviously I ran a lot of camps with you, and I'm critical of other groups that did that, and we always did it the right way, and it was well organized, and we were sincere about what we did. They just weren't a pass-through entity. We really cared, and we really wanted to get them somewhere. And most of the time we did, both pro and college. I remember there was a kid, I believe his name was Alex Jett. He went to several different trial camps, and I think I got him. We had a camp in Freeport, I want to say, and I think I got him signed before he left that day. Good kid, but
yeah. And you talk about other camps, and it's funny because I ran into a kid. I won't mention his name. He's a junior in high school, and he's telling me, "Oh, I went to this camp and they clocked me at this time and this and that." And he said he had a pop time of 1.82 as a catcher.
You don't need us if you got a 1.82.
And I kind of snickered. I said, "You're 1 second or 0.1 second better than anybody in the major leagues right now."
Right.
I said, I can't believe it. And of course he got upset, but that's the way a lot of these other camps do. They blow these kids out of proportion. They make them feel like they're really good, but when the real world strikes, they can't face the fact that they're not as good as everybody said they were. We were very honest with the kids, brutally honest, to the point where I remember after we did one of our big showcases in West Virginia, by 9 o'clock the next morning, I had about 50 calls of parents complaining that, "Oh, my kid's better than that." Like, I told them before we started, these aren't high school coaches or just some kid timing. We use professionals, guys who had been professional pitching coaches, professional hitting coaches, like a Sid Bream.
We had Sid Bream, John Candelaria, Grant Jackson.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
Grant had 3 World Series rings and was a pitching coach for 3 major league organizations. They knew what they were talking about.
Well, that's what I mean about a pass-through entity. We really gave them some of these places, and that's fine. We don't care less. That's none of our business. But this guy's the greatest. He ran a 6.660, which no, he didn't. He throws 95, but then they threw 84 for us. And Ron, at the beginning of the showcase, first of all, after the showcase, he breaks down the college process better than anybody, and I mean breaks it down. But before, we tell them exactly what we're looking for. This is what we're going to do. We're not idiots. If we have 100 people to camp, we want to sign all 100, whether it's college or professional. But this is a credibility business. Right. And I can't call the Yankees or the Red Sox or whoever and say, "I got this kid, he's really good," and then he's not that good. Like if we say he throws 95, he better throw 95, because if he throws 93, your credibility's shot.
What's the end game of that though? Because I'll tell you real quick. I used to coach juniors, and for a hot minute, I coached junior hockey. And it's funny you talk about parents should be barred from their kids from youth sports. It should be once your kid hits a certain age, parents are persona non grata. They don't want them because they muddy the waters. To your point, and I remember when I was coaching the one team. And it really kind of, in hindsight, really just pissed me off because it was one of these, I had a GM that didn't want to be the bad guy. So when it came to the decisions that would make everybody love you, he made them. When it came to the hard decisions, I had to make them. Okay, fine. I ended up getting fired at the end of the season. I'll tell you right now, it's the best thing that happened to me. Sometimes, your point before, it's sometimes those things are blessings in disguises. Because I learned a lot about more than anything, people and the dynamic of people that think their kid is going to be in a competitive professional sports. And I had to learn if you're still paying to play at a certain age, you're just not that good. And it's like that with any sport. That's the whole point of scholarships. And I grant you that depending on the sport, not all schools give full rides, like say football or basketball. Like I get it. It depends on the sport. But hockey's a good example. If you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're still paying to play, you're not that good. I don't want to be mean, but you're not that good. But what I don't understand is what's the end game to lie to the kids? I get the parents lying, but you nailed it, Claudio. If a coach is going to tell you what, or the scout is going to tell you what you want to hear, if I'm the team, I'm going to be like, go away. I don't want to hear it. You got another 95 mile an hour 12-year-old. Oh, please, let me hear this one. At some point, you lose it. What's the end game of doing that, though?
Youth sports is a multi-billion-dollar business. And what these organizations do is they say, "You're really good. Now you need to come to our next event."
That's it. So it's a sales pitch.
They bait you. Yeah. One thing, though, that Ron says when, for example, for the outfield, not drill, but so we can evaluate them, we give them 5 throws from, let's say, right field. And, we have the gun and all that kind of stuff. We don't need a gun, but Ron always tells everybody, the first 2 throws are for us. The other 3 are for the parents. We can tell if a kid has a good arm or not, or if he has good feet, or if he has good movement on his feet. It doesn't take us long, right? But you would be shocked. And again, I'm not here to be criticized. I'm just telling you the truth. You would be shocked at some of the evaluations that these kids are given. Okay, and I hear, well, Claudio, my son, the guy from this major league team said this, or this showcase company said he's this, and it's garbage. And we want them to do fantastic, but we have to tell them the truth. But these people, and I'd say,
they're delusional.
Yeah, well, I'm not even going to say that those companies are lying. I'm not going to even say that. Some might, but you know what it is? They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They really don't, or they don't know how to. You say, how to do a stopwatch. Well, obviously the guy doesn't have a 1.82 pop time, which for the fans out there who don't know, it's when the glove hits the catcher's glove and he throws it to the second baseman. It's pop time. So some are lying, I guess, but some just don't know what the hell they're talking about. Then we'll get evaluations. This guy has loud hips, loud bat. What the hell does that mean? Are they screaming? I don't get it. So
well, quiet it because I'm trying to sleep here.
I don't even pay attention to it. But the parents,
parents want a gravy train off their kid.
But again, if you see that he's not that good,
they're delusional. I'm telling you, they're delusional.
One time, real quick, I did an open house for a guy that we know, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "Coach, I got a player for you." So really, he says, "Yeah, he can fly like the wind, switch hit." Okay, great outfielder. This kid is a stud and a half. And I don't know why, but I just asked casually, how old is he? 8. Okay. And one time I got a call.
Sign him up.
I got a call from a guy that said to me, "Coach, I have a massive problem. My kid's going to school, where you're coaching. He's either going to be the next Barry Bonds or the next Liberace." I said, "Well, damn, that's not too bad, right?" So I knew he was exaggerating, but I figured at least the kid was going to be pretty damn good. I had 5 outfielders that year. He would have been number 8. Okay. Now, I don't know if he could play the piano or not, but you get that. But our job is to get the emotion out of it. And we do. And I always say this, and I don't mean to take your time around. I say the toughest thing for me to do as a coach is to not give everybody a lot of at-bats. Because this isn't Little League. The best players are going to play. As a pro scout, the hardest thing for me to do is to tell somebody he's not good enough to play professional baseball. That breaks my heart. Because I was told no. But we tell them, hey, keep at it. Keep working. We tell them what to do and how to fix things and so on and so forth. But so it's not just, as I keep using that phrase, pass-through entity. Right. They just don't come by, see you later. We'll give them an evaluation, but also what can you do to improve? And we're very honest. You want somebody to lie to you? You go to a doctor. "Oh, man, you're feeling great." Meanwhile, you're 200 pounds overweight. Your blood pressure sucks. Your heart's pounding through your chest, and you don't feel good. Well, tell me I don't feel good. Tell me what's wrong with me. So that's what we try to do. It's all about credibility.
Yeah. And the kids who paid attention to us improved and moved on.
Yeah.
But I've never forget, I got a phone call one time, and his dad said, "I want you to take a look at my son. He's 16 years old, and he has a 1.6 pop time."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said to the dad, "Why are you calling me?" And his dad said, "Well, I think you could help me." I said, "You don't need my help." I said, "Your son's ready for the Hall of Fame right now." I said, that's better than Johnny Bench, the best catcher that ever threw a ball.
Does it make them rethink maybe something's out of whack here?
Well, no, we're lousy evaluators. They're the guy who said that he's got 1.6, he's good.
Well, this dad actually hung up on me. He got mad at me, but over the years, I had so many parents come in and tell me that their kids could do X, Y, and Z, and I'd say, well, I have to see it to believe it, and they get mad at me. But we dealt with a lot of kids who paid attention, actually came to us for training to improve at least local kids, and moved on. I mean, the one guy from Jones from up in Riverside, he ended up playing.
Yeah. He played for your place, Flagler. And he played in the minor leagues. Yeah.
I mean, this kid went down to Flagler. I only referred people to Flagler who were super good. and end up setting.
And I got to
records.
say this before we go on break. There's people that have offered us a nice chunk of change to train their player to go to the next level. We can train him all day long. He ain't going to the next level unless he climbs steps. That's it. So, it isn't like we're just doing it for the money.
Yeah, but in this case, this kid listened. He took some hitting instructions. He went down to Flagler College, which is a D2 school, and ended up being a superstar. The coach brought him in, liked him, but ended up being a superstar and ended up going to independent league baseball.
Yeah. A team in Illinois, I think.
Is pro. I always, that's a good, I mean, a lot of people think, I want to go to the show, but it's like, you know what? How many people get to go play Major League? How many people get paid to play a sport and then yet alone make it to that level? So that's the other thing. We're going to take a break here in a second, but there is always about managing expectations. And I think that is the problem. People just don't understand the odds. The odds are, even if your kid is really good, he's not going to the pros, or she is not going to the pros. It's just the odds. And especially now, when your kid's not competing against, let's say baseball, you're competing globally, because I remember 10, 15 years ago, there weren't that many Asian players in the Major League Baseball. Look now. And by the way, I used to live in Japan in the 90s. And I actually watched Japanese baseball, and you would see the American players over there on the teams, and you knew these guys weren't going to be in the majors, but they would have been good minor league players. But maybe they had some time in the majors. But the Japanese, like a lot of foreign teams, will bring in so many foreigners, but they limit it because they want their. U.S. is probably one of the only countries that doesn't do that. You could have an entire team not Americans, but what that means then is little Johnny hasn't got to be better than just the American kids. He's got to be better than everybody in the globe, because that's where we're recruiting from now. But Claudio, let's take a quick break.
All right, my other show, the Claudio Relsano Show on ClaudioRelsano.com. I've had some great guests, such as Mario Andretti, Vince Ferragamo, Ken Griffey Sr., Rocky Bleier, Jim Rooker, many, Jerry Cooney, many great guests. So tune into that show. Again, ClaudioRelsano.com. And we're also doing some entrepreneurial programs on that show as well. Steel City Sports World, hosted by Luther Dupree Jr., every Wednesday live at 9 p.m. on SC Sports World with Smoking Jim Frazier, Luther, and myself. Another show that we do, we are co-hosts on 1250 a.m. The Answer, 92.5 FM, The Answer, every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Sports Corner, hosted by Ralph Williams, once again with myself, Luther Dupree Jr., and Smoking Jim Frazier. Great sports show. We say it's the best sports show on radio, so tune in again every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on 1250 a.m. The Answer. Don't forget about my book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. Thankfully, all sold out at Barnes & Noble, but you can order it on my website at ClaudioRelsano.com. It's a great book. I really poured a lot of heart and soul into it, a lot of great stories. It's been a lot of helpful to coaches and CEOs, anybody who's in the leadership capacity. So get the book.
All right, folks, and as you know, the international documentary, award-winning documentary, pretty proud of my team for that one, Fidelta, Soldier Prisoner, is available on Amazon. So I encourage you to check it out. And I am almost finished with the next film, which is going to be called Innocenti, which means Innocent Ones. And it's going to chronicle the 9 months of German occupation in the Abruzzo region during the Second World War. And good Lord willing, that will be out in late November. But in the meantime, please go out to Amazon, check out Fidelta, Soldier Prisoner, and again, if you can make it on October 18th to the fundraiser, I would love to meet you in person. Also, I've been getting a lot of requests to show the film and go visit places and do discussions. In fact, I was just scouting out a place this morning that asked me to come up there and do a presentation. So if you are interested in having me come speak at, to a group or to a lodge or to an event, whatever, please just reach out at questions@ItalianImpactWeekly.com. Claudio, that goes the same for him. Either one of us, both of us, we've been doing this stuff for years. We've been in front of thousands of people, international audiences, you name it, we've been there. And I think we bring decades of experience in leadership. And, or if nothing else, we bring an entertainment value that's worth your time. So please reach out to us at questions@ItalianImpactWeekly.com.
Ciao, Chrissy. Your Italian got so much better. Brava.
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know, and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. Did your parents or grandparents ever talk about the Vietnam War? The Hardest Year, a love story and letters during the Vietnam War, is an accurate portrayal of what life was like during the 1960s, a time of the draft, equal rights, and the anti-war movement. Follow newlyweds through their letters as they navigate 1 year of the war an ocean apart. The Hardest Year by Carol and William Wagner is available now wherever books are sold. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support. And we want to thank La Scuola d'Italia Galileo Galilei, the only nonprofit school in Pittsburgh endorsed by the Italian Consulate. If you're interested in learning Italian or have your children being immersed in the Italian culture and language, be sure to give them a call at 412-404-7070. And that's La Scuola d'Italia Galileo Galilei. We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074. All right, welcome back. And Claudia, we were just getting into, I believe we were talking about why parents should be barred. I'm going to rehash the first segment. Parents should be barred. Stop gravy train off your kid. Set expectations. And did I miss anything, fellas?
Well, I had, as I say all the time.
By the way, I do think the set expectations is an important one.
Oh yeah. But I had unbelievable parents, unreal parents who supported me from day one. But, I remember one time in '80. We got blasted in a game, and we were joking around and stuff like that. And my dad, after the game, said to me, "Did you have a good time?" I said, or no. He said, "Did you enjoy your game? Or it seemed like you had fun." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I hope you enjoyed it because that's the last one you're ever going to play. You guys got pounded, and you joked around, So there was a discipline thing there. And again, it does start there, and you have to be honest about the kids' chances. Obviously, we want all our kids to be making $17 million a year and stuff like that. But just be supportive and try not to bust the coaches back too much and try to, again, my parents allowed me to enjoy my playing days, as did my coaches. And that's what I tell my players, let's enjoy this. And it's enough pressure to play. So,
yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, I coached hockey for probably 15, 20 years and everything, house to travel to high school, even junior college. So been there. And, expectations is real. And, Claudia, you and I have had a lot of guests on the show, ex-athletes, professional athletes, and even they plan for a moment in their life, which is probably going to be more, God willing, than the moments they've spent in sports. But they plan for the moment when they're not in sports anymore or not in the athlete role. And so, for families that are just banking on this expectation that, my little Johnny's going to go to the pros because he's got a pop of, 1.10. And, like you said, the Yankees, I think somebody from the Yankees just called. I must have missed a phone call. Otherwise we'd be gone already. It's like, even if that were true, is that all you want for your kid? I mean, it's not a bad thing, but life is longer than, that 4, 5, 7 years you might get in the pros.
And you brought up a really good point.
I always do. But thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Is these parents see the local league or the local high school.
Right.
Claudio and I saw players all over the country, and in some cases, Claudio even outside the country. And I remember we were at Youngstown after a showcase that we did, which the talent was not very good. And I was doing a presentation, and I tried to explain to them that exact point. And I told them, I did a showcase in Tampa a couple weeks before that, and we had a kid who was a backup catcher on his high school team that Michigan signed him to a scholarship right there on the spot. I'm saying, down in Florida, the kids on the bench are better than the talent up here. And one dad came out of the stands, I don't know if you remember this, but he was screaming and yelling, and I was like, look, that's a fact. There is so much talent. I mean, I had a friend who recently passed. He played for the Yankees in the 60s and was in baseball for over 50 years. Lived in outside, pardon me?
Atlanta.
Yeah, just outside of Atlanta. The talent at the high schools in that area was phenomenal. I mean, they'd have 5-6 kids get drafted from one high school. How many kids do we get drafted in the whole state of Pennsylvania?
It's not just the physical part of it either. There was a kid that Ron knows this story he was good. He was really good. And he was connected. I met with his family and all that. And he was really doing good against his opponents. And the opponents weren't that good. So I said, either this kid's going to be the next Sandy Koufax, or he's going up against, not good players. And I was right. Then I said, he's going to be good. He's going to have to get mentally stronger because, right now he's just blowing everybody by. When he throws his best pitch and they take it, they pull it, how's he going to react? And some people say he's going to be drafted pretty high, and I didn't. And, parents got mad at me and all that. And eventually he, did pretty good before he got hurt and all that. But that's beside the point. But they put so much pressure on this kid. And sometimes the kids, they might be there physically but not mentally. There's so many things to look at. And like I said, and Ron said at the outset about these, oh, yeah, I got this guy signed. I got this guy signed. No, you didn't get anybody signed. They all fib. But, again, our job is to be honest with these players, because if we're dishonest with the players and, we call a college or a major league team or an independent league team and say, this kid is this and he's not. There was a kid one time I signed, local kid, really good kid, great family, and it was in Newcastle was the tryout camp, and it wasn't one of ours. It was an independent thing.
Yes.
It was one of ours. It was one of yours in Newcastle, I believe. But anyway, I got a call that day on the field. He said, I need a pitcher who throws 94 plus. I said, well, I got one. And his dad had a cup of coffee in the majors. We won him. So I sent him over there. They gave that kid, a great kid, 3 1/3, 4 1/3 innings. He never got past 92. And they cut him. I said, you got to give him a little bit of a break. You know what I mean? He threw 92. You wanted 95. He threw 94 for us, something like that. But they got rid of him. They didn't deal with me for 2-3 years because they thought my credibility was shot. Because a lot of these companies will exaggerate the.
Right. You thought maybe you were another one.
And we can't do.
So was he throwing 94? Just wasn't throwing it on the day.
That day was a little bit. It was 2 or 3 games. They pitched him an inning here and there. Maybe he needed a little more time. I don't know. Maybe he was a little nervous. That could have been it. A little
but
tight.
I think he struck out 3 guys in 1 inning. They only gave him a couple, like an
Doesn't
inning
matter,
and a couple. One
They're
inning
so
and a couple
enamored.
different
That's right.
games.
They're so enamored with those
speed.
numbers. I mean, not numbers as far as statistics, but we've seen guys who threw 76, 80, 81. For college level. College won't take them because they want that sexy 95. Well, the kids throwing 90 or 81.
Are they throwing that hard in college?
No, well, maybe again, there's Division I,
right?
Texas and LSU, and then they're
in the 90s, cleanly,
yeah,
close.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
But
they're still young. They're still developing. That's the other thing people forget. 19, 20, 21, 22, they're still developing.
But when we looked at a player, we looked at so much more than numbers.
Well, you
today,
have to
today, but that's all they look at today is numbers.
You know why? Because they don't know They don't know what else to do with him. They don't know how to make him better. They don't know why he's producing those numbers. Anybody, again, my wife can see somebody's hitting 210. Why is he hitting 210? And can you help him hit 270? No, obviously.
Yeah, what most people don't realize is over 50% of the guys drafted in first or second round never play an inning of Major League Baseball. I mean, so a lot of people think that they can scout. Even the guys scouting at the Major League level sometimes can't pick up. It used to be your scouts were ex-ball players who knew the game, and they could go out and they could find a kid. I mean, like I said, I grew up in Greene County. There were so many players that came out of Greene County that some guy just saw and said, hey, this kid can play. You don't see that today. Yeah.
What's changed?
Attitudes.
Well, I mean, even at the scouting level, though, what's changed? Why is it?
Well, to be very honest with you, again, they don't. Hey, I'm not putting a blanket on everyone. This isn't personal. But why is it, for example, again, even on a major league level, I can see this one time Polanco. I can be so specific in telling you that I was at a meeting at a place in the Strip District called the Savoy. I was walking in an angle from the TV monitor. Polanco was a rookie, and he was flying open. The bat was dropping and dragging, but you could see he had great hands. And I said, they'll fix him. Nobody ever fixed him. Okay, the Pirates in 2025, and Ron and I talk about this weekly. Okay, they didn't hit. Why didn't they hit? I mean, there's reasons why they didn't hit, and they could be fixed because, again, these are athletes with tremendous hand-eye coordination. So the coaching isn't that great, to be honest with you. The scouting, you have to take away the smugness and the arrogance and all that, and forget about all that garbage. Really look at the player and not only see what he's doing now against the talent he's going up against, but you have to project. Can he do this against somebody else? If he's hitting, if he's a right-handed hitter with aluminum bat, hitting a lot of balls to right center field, 84 miles an hour, what the hell is he going to do against 94 miles an hour in a wooden bat? Right. You see what I'm trying to say? Right. So you have to do things like that. Or there's somebody that Ron and I talk about all the time who's a stud and a half. He was a stud and a half. But, for example, when he stole a base, he could fly, this guy in his prime, could fly. But he would pop up, and then he just took too many steps, took too many motions to get from first base to second base. Never corrected. But back to the scouting, like Ron always talked about to the parents, the first two throws are for us. The rest are for you guys. We can see if a guy has a little heat at the end of that throw, or if he has to work on mechanics, or his bats. One time Ron did a softball camp in Ohio. Remember that girl was taught to thump her back, and Ron had a device with the bat speed. And I just made a little tiny adjustment. I don't know how much her speed went up.
About 15 miles an hour.
But just little things. But it really depends on the eye. What are you looking for? One time I did a camp for a guy named Larry Massaroni, who worked for the Yankees. Great guy. I was about 100 yards away, parking my car, and I just looked at this was in New York, and I saw this kid. And I saw him fielding balls. I said, wow, what great feet he has. Just an athlete. Just, the way he was gliding, right? I knew right away. That's what I look for in an infielder. Is he stomp or is he a glider? When they throw, mechanics, things like that. But I don't want to bore anybody, but there are things that you look for. What are these guys looking for? Are they just looking for stats? Quick example. There was a fighter. I don't want to put him down. He was a former world champion. He was like 80-2, 80 wins and 2 losses. Okay, you said, wow. The other guy I'm going to tell you about, and I should know his exact record, but he was like 45-10. You'd say, Well, the guy who was 80-2, I'm a boxing historian. I recognized maybe 2 of his opponents. 2. The other guy who went like 45-10 was Evander Holyfield. He fought Tyson. He fought Lennox Lewis. He fought Riddick Bowe. He fought Michael Moore. He fought everybody. So, yeah, he had some losses. Or my friend Vinny Paz. Or Boom Boom Mancini. Look who they lost to. You see what I'm trying to say? So, and look who they beat. That's when you can determine, who the guy is. So these scouts who just look at who the guy played and he's hitting 350. Yeah, but who did he hit 350 against? And then you have to look at mechanics. Does he have a hitch? Does he take too long to get from point A to point B? When he throws a fastball, or is a so-so hitter getting some meat on it, or is he getting blown away? There's little things. And then a last thing, I do think the scouts are afraid to, like, as independent scouts, independent companies, if somebody's 5'10", I'll put it this way. If a scout signs somebody who's 5'10", 190 pounds, he better make it, because if not, you're in big trouble. But if he signs somebody who's 6'5", 230 pounds, and it doesn't make it, they blame the kid. Does that make sense?
I know exactly.
So all those things enter into it. And the last thing, I said this before the show, if Ron goes outside and looks at the sky, then Steve doesn't know Ron, but he sees Ron looking in the sky. Steve's going to look in the sky. Claudia's going to come by. What the hell is everybody looking? Everybody's looking at the sky. Everybody follows. Everybody, right. And they're afraid to go off the cuff. Just like in the NFL draft, or like Ron said, all these guys don't make it because one reporter or one scout says, this guy's good. And then everybody follows suit.
That's a funny question. Let me ask you guys this, or I'll ask you this too. We'll start with you. Let's talk about saturation. Because to your point, Claudio, 20, 30 years ago, before the advent of it might be longer than that now, but before 24/7 news cycles, but then none of did you have news. Now you got sporting news on multiple channels, 24/7, and you have gambling, and you have this saturation of sports. And what's the result? Gambling creates what? Everybody's got an opinion because they want to get read. Everybody wants to get the inside line so they can do the plus 400, minus 200. And this guy, now you can gamble on the play, the pitch, everything. Is that basically contributing to the demise of the quality of the sports overall?
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, they have to fill the slots. I mean, they're televising high school football, flag football.
What's on the 27 different sports channels.
Frisbee.
They're out of sports.
Right. And so there's a need for all these kids, but how much talent is really out there? I mean, I look at these travel programs. They have 6 teams at each age group, and they're one of 30 travel programs. There's not that much talent out there. And so everybody is told they're a star, so these companies can keep in business, because if you tell the kid, oh, he's 6-year-old, but he's going to be great.
You're sucking them into 365 days a year into some camp, some coach's camp. It's insane.
$8,000 to $10,000 a year these parents are spending on these different sports.
At least.
Being hockey, that's even more. But
it was insane. And then they want him year round. Gretzky didn't play hockey year round. He played baseball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, anymore they frown on that. They want you to play
one
that
sport. And you know what? And the wear and tear on the joints, because now you got them young and you're constantly overusing those joints. Now they're getting permanent injuries by age 18 and the arthritis. And you know what? Parents don't give a shit. They don't care.
It's amazing how many college coaches tell me this kid was done by September of his freshman year because he came in injured. And now he can't pitch anymore. He can't run. You're right. It's just the repetition injuries, and parents don't let their kids take a break. And I always told parents, if you're working with me, your kid has to take at least a month off twice a year, because if you come out of the baseball season, your elbow's a little sore, that might be overuse. It takes 3 weeks for your body to be able to tell you if that's an injury or if that's just fatigue. These kids never get 3 weeks off. Yeah, and I'm a big believer in playing 2 sports.
Yeah.
But most coaches today control these kids, and they control the parents. When I was coaching high school sports, I coached basketball, and my practices lasted an hour and a half. And I told parents.
That's what I do, hour and a half.
Yep, I told parents, practice is over 5 o'clock. I said, if you don't pick up your kid by 5:05, he's going to be standing in the parking lot because I'm going home to my own kids. And parents were shocked because coming up through junior high, before they got to be in high school, they were having 3-hour practices.
What the hell are you going to do?
Right.
You're
my
just gassed.
My dad said you can sharpen the blade too much.
Yeah. Well, you're gassed. That's like hockey. That's why one of the things I made sure I did in hockey was, you did your pre-ice, you did your off-ice workout beforehand. You always saved the cardio to the end because a lot of coaches, they'll run you early. Well, now I can't teach you specific drills because you're gassed. It's like, and you're not recovering at those ages. You're not recovering that quickly. You know, there's not a lot of muscle there.
I'll say this. I say it all the time before we get to Ron's golf business. I am so grateful that I grew up when I did, in the era I did in sports or music or movies, but let's just stick to sports. The coaches knew what they were doing. They kept it simple. I learned from the best, even the former major leaguers that I knew that, taught me things that were common sense that I don't hear now. And it's common sense stuff. Real quick, Sid Thrift, who I only met one time, who was a GM for the Pirates. I met him one time in 2003 in New Orleans for the Major League Baseball winter meetings. And I said, now he knew my uncle real well, but I, again, met him once. I said, Mr. Thrift, I said, I read your book, The Game According to Sid. Unbelievable book. Unbelievable. He said, son, thank you. He said, but that book's going to be outdated in about 2 years. I said, no, it won't. Well, unfortunately, it was. Something as simple as if a kid was late on a fastball, throw him another fastball. Don't throw him a pitch conducive to his bat swing. And what do? They throw him a pitch conducive. Or the way this hitting is being taught today, where Ron came with this phrase, more points of contact. I say throw the bat towards the pitcher, and Ron boxed in more. You have more points of contact when you do what I teach, okay? Now, I know it's a sin to say anything negative about Paul Skeens. I know he's the greatest pitcher, the greatest athlete that ever lived. I know his girlfriend is cute and the whole 9 yards, and they should build 3 statues of him at PNC Park. I get it. But if you look at the swings, first of all, they take the first pitch. Now you're in the hole. But if you look at the swings, yes, he's got movement. He throws hard. I get it. But they uppercut, they pull off. There's only half the plate, no plate coverage. No plate coverage.
Swings, yeah.
No plate coverage. They're in the hole, and then God knows what they're trying to do. Let the ball travel deep, hit the lower half of the ball, uppercut. You're making him that much damn better. Okay, but it's just hard to watch. Ron and I talk about it morning, noon, and night. And again, no offense. I know Paul Skeens, as I said, is the greatest athlete that ever lived. That's terrific. But I'm just saying, the hitting today is brutal. But Ron, before we go, talk about your golf format that I just thought was a great idea, and we're trying to make a go of it and explain what it is and all that. It's all yours.
It's a new way to play the game. Is called Rotago, for rotational golf, where players take turns in a lineup, a preset lineup, taking their strokes. So basically, we have player specialization, where the first guy drives off the tee. Then we have a guy who takes the fairway shot, a guy who takes the approach shot, and then the putter. And then one of those guys can be chosen to be what I call the hazard. So if they get into a sand trap or something, this person would be the specialist. And so what it does is, it creates more camaraderie, the need for specialization. So each player becomes a valuable part of the team. So it's not like a scramble where everybody hits and then they pick the best one. And actually, that's where this came about. I'm not a golfer. I don't even like the game. But I played in 3 scrambles, 2 with the company, and then actually, Claudio, you remember you got me into a celebrity tournament. And I know the celebrity tournament lasted 5.5 hours. I absolutely couldn't stand it. I don't like long, drug-out events. So I did notice, though, in those 3 scrambles that I was really good at the approach. If I was within 100 yards, I could get the ball up onto the green and have a good lie for a good putt. So I came up with this idea, let every guy specialize. Mm-hmm. And what it does is, particularly for the older generation, not everybody can drive a ball. Not everybody can get the ball up to the green. So it allows you to create a team that can benefit from each guy's best ability. The other thing is, on the flip side, the younger generation doesn't have time for anything. Most golfers, of the younger generation in particular, will go to a Top Golf or a place like that. That's their idea of golf. They say they want to get out on the golf course, but they don't have the time. This format, you could play a 9-hole round in an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. It's set up to move along. Each player, like I said, has their responsibility. There are rules that limit how long between shots to keep the game moving. So it's good on both sides, from the youth up through the senior players.
Yeah. And one of the things, like he said, I love playing, but my shoulders are shot. After so many holes, I start to fade off but I can still really chip really well. So, and everybody wants to do well, right? You don't want to there's some drivers who are absolutely horrendous, or they can't chip, or whatever the case is. So you do have your specialty. And, for example, let's say you're a bad fairway guy. Okay, you're going to hit the ball way off course, which takes what? More time. But if somebody who's pretty good, they're going to get it in the ballpark, and that saves minutes. And then you're pulling for each other. And again, it's a team concept. You're playing other teams. And then we're also looking to do that, but also maybe get in, and Steve would be great for this too, a speaker. We're trying to, because the number one business sport is golf. So you have your golf, then afterwards we're looking to have a leadership or a business event or entrepreneurial something. So we're going to be contacting companies, some golf courses to partner up with us. And I just think it's a when Ron told me about it, okay, what's that phrase when people say they met their wife, they had me at hello, right? But as soon as Ron said that, because we were going to do something else, and I wasn't, not that it wasn't a good idea, but it would have been hard to pull off because of some circumstances. And then as soon as Ron told me this, I mean, right there, bang, I said, that's a great idea. So, we're working on it. And I think it's almost like when you go to these Sam's Clubs and all these places, they give you a sample, a taste. We just have to get it out there, which we're working on, let people taste it. And I think once they do that,
and great news, I'm sure there's going to be a sports channel that will air this. I'm sure we can find one.
Well, in all honesty,
and a company that'll gamble on it.
If there's Frisbee, which
well,
is
that's
fine.
not even the worst sport that's still in there. Look, and I'll say it. I mean, they have sport. You're like, it's anything where people are competing in any.
Well, how about that new thing where they just slap the hell out of you? Have you seen that? Where they just slap you? Have you seen that?
No.
Have you? Oh, it's tremendous.
Where you just, why slap you?
No. They sit there, they stand there, and they're, arm's length. The guy, he touches your face, and all of a sudden, and girls too, and they just clock you. It's open hand, and the guy just passes out. Like a friend of mine who will be on our show, Jimmy Birchfield, the owner of Classic Entertainment Sports, boxing promoter, hates it. If you think that MMA is graphic, or this is more graphic because they just slap the hell out of you, and it's not.
What are you trying to do? Not pass out? I mean, what's the
try
sport?
not to bang your head when you get hit. Try not to pass out because I slap you, then you're supposed to slap me.
Oh, so it is like a slap competition.
It's all slap. Yeah. But so anything but tell. But this can be. And you don't want to see a bad golf shot. You don't want to see bad boxers. You don't want to see a bad basketball
where everything's going to
player.
be good. Right.
Everybody's going to be pretty good, and you can do. There's so many offshoots from this, so we're just trying to. It's at the birth stages.
Well, and I tell you what else. Funny thing is, you say that.
And go to RotegoGolf.com, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say we're gonna put that link in the description down below. But and to your point, look, reality. Even baseball said, "Hey, we've got to speed up the games." The attention span of people is just dropping off, and they just don't want to watch it. That's why. And my final thought is. I can't stand watching football anymore. I can't stand it because not just because it's too slow, but it's why it's too slow. It's either penalties or commercials, and they are just trying to jam as much stuff into that.
I love when the team's down
games,
40 and they call timeout. Why the hell didn't you call timeout in the first quarter when you get blasted?
I still don't understand. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll have another show on the whole. Why do you play prevent defense when it doesn't prevent anything? It just gives the other team a chance to get back in the game. But I mean, that's the point though, is that now you're looking for sports that are moving. I think that's why hockey still has an appeal, because it moves. It moves in a good way. I'll even say soccer. Soccer's a little boring. I watch it, but it's a little boring at times just because it's like, all right, back. But it doesn't stop till the 45 minutes is up. Then you go to your halftime, do your commercials, which gives you a chance to get up and not watch it, and then they go right 45 minutes straight of playing. People like me, I'm tuning in to watch the sport.
Yeah.
And if I don't watch the sport, if I get bored, it's gone. So if you're putting your money on commercials on sporting events, know this: I'm not watching your commercials, and I don't think most people are.
It's something Ron and I were talking about before the show. Like on my show, I'm grateful and fortunate enough to have some sponsors. I have 4. But if you have 5, 6, 7 sponsors, I make more money.
But you just
the show
constantly,
drags, and every 5.
We have one break. We have one break in this show. That's it. You get past that break, and it's all clear
I
sailing.
may have a couple depending on how long, but if it's too many, it just breaks up the momentum of the show and so on and so forth. But go to www.rotagogolf.com, and we're going to keep pushing. And Ron, any words?
Stay tuned. I think it's going to be the new craze.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be good. Okay, everyone, we hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we did. Don't forget about our Columbus Day event, October 11th, and what are we calling it? The fundraiser for the Italian Consulate, October 18th at the Spino Club. Looking forward to doing that. And as always, Steve, thank you, and our fans, thank you, and thank you, Mom and Pop.